Hello and welcome to another edition of Momentum. I'm your host, John Bricado. Our guest today is Terry Abel, a Bagley College of Engineering alumnus and one of our 2016 Bagley College of Engineering Distinguished Fellows. Terry, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Excellent. So I thought we'd start with your professional career. You've been at Lockheed Martin for a long time. Why don't you tell us about that and give us a sense of some of the projects you've worked on?
Well, this past week marked 35 years since I joined Lockheed Martin when I graduated from Mississippi State with a master's degree in mechanical engineering. I went out to Texas to join Lockheed Martin at a fighter plant and got to work on the F-16 multi-role fighter. Pretty awesome machine. It was amazing to get to be out there in Texas. It was a little overwhelming because about 32,000 people converge on that plant every day with boxcars on one end and fighters rolling out the other end. So that was amazing. I then moved back to closer to the southeast in Huntsville, Alabama, where I've been at the Marshall Space Flight Center for about 29 years, working on various space programs. We're currently working on the Orion crew module. That is the spacecraft that we are planning to take astronauts first back to the moon, but in preparation to go to Mars.
Wow, amazing. I think we have a visual aid here. You're going to talk to us a little bit about planetary exploration.
Let me show you a couple of things. Of course, most of us are very familiar with a space shuttle, and that has flown for 30 years, and of course the International Space Station that's been out there for now 20 years in operation around the Earth. I like to bring in a basketball because it's a really good illustration of distances in space. If we use this basketball as the Earth, for instance, the distance to the space station that's orbiting the Earth is only 1/4 inch. So it gives you a real sense of how close that is to the Earth in relative distances. Whereas the moon, for instance, would be about the size of a tennis ball, and it would be 24 feet away. 24 feet away versus 1/4 inch for the space station. So we in the space business will often talk about LEO, low Earth orbit, which is where we've done all of our research, where the space station resides, where the Hubble Space Telescope is, and yet we're now making preparations to move much farther away, first to the moon with the positioning of a gateway, essentially a small space station orbiting around the moon, and then ultimately going to Mars. The trouble is, the trip to Mars is about an 8-month trip. So we've got a lot of preparation to do, but it's a really good time to be in the space business.
Yeah. Not to put you on the spot, but I mean, what's your best guess as far as how far are we away from doing that? I think a lot of people would like to know that.
Well, when we look at the technology that's needed to do the job, and a lot of that has to pertain to environmental control and life support materials and getting things pre-positioned to be able to go to those distances, most think in the mid-2030s. So maybe 15, 20 years away. That's why it's such a good time for the current generation of students that are at engineering schools like Mississippi State to be looking at aerospace, mechanical, electrical, all the disciplines of engineering, because there's going to be such a demand to put such a system together. And it's certainly not just a U.S. program. It will be multi-industry partners as well as international partners.
Okay. So clearly you've had a very distinguished career. Reading through your bio, though, it's also clear you came from somewhat humble beginnings, I think it's fair to say, and I thought it'd be interesting if you talk about that a little bit. How'd you get here?
Well, I'm originally from Canton, Mississippi, a small town just north of Jackson. And in my earliest days, I was raised by my mom and a grandmother, actually. We spent a time in the projects there in Canton. When I was about 8 years old, my mom married an Army sergeant that then took us all over the U.S. and actually overseas for a time. And I think that gave me some real exposure to the world, to the diversity across the U.S. And it probably gave me a good pinch of discipline. And having a dad that would come in and flip the switch and say, jar the floor, I probably needed that. But yes, I came up through a small junior college in Mississippi, and then ultimately came to Mississippi State pursuing an engineering degree. The other thing I guess I might add is I had an uncle who is now deceased, who sent me a plane ticket as a 17-year-old, flew me to Chicago, and showed me what General Electric does in research and development. And I was just fascinated, again, as a 17-year-old, to see wow, I could do this. And it's examples like that that help the current generation be able to see or be inspired for something that you might be interested in.
Yeah. And so, I think you have a couple of degrees from MSU. What were what you said mechanical engineering, but the earlier one was in what?
Yeah, well, I got a pre-engineering degree from Holmes Community College. Okay. I have a bachelor's degree in nuclear engineering from Mississippi State. Thought I wanted to run a power plant. I'm still fascinated with the notion of nuclear power, and in fact, using nuclear power for deep space probes. And then a master's in mechanical engineering. And it was really that ME degree that gave me the diversity to be able to talk to anyone, and really gave me a really good foundation for the career that I pursued with Lockheed Martin.
That's fantastic. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and continue the conversation. We'll be right back.
What drives you? What pushes you forward? Is it an appetite to be the best, or a calling to make a difference? For those of us here at Mississippi State University, it's both. We're designing a future where cutting-edge hybrid technology isn't imported from overseas, but exported from our own backyard. We're working toward a day when solutions to energy independence move at 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds and are as simple as charging a phone. A day when fuel economy and environmentally friendly are viewed as less of a compromise and look more like this. For us, turning heads in the auto industry is great, but living up to the hype is even better. That's because it's about more than simply envisioning the future. It's about getting there. And here at Mississippi State, we know just the ride to take. When you're the best, everyone wants to see what you'll do next. At Mississippi State University, our team of world-class rocket engineers is venturing beyond boundaries, building rockets like none before. We're launching a new era of space exploration. We've developed cutting-edge technology that's helping us build a rocket that can travel at 4 times the speed of sound. Fast? Yes. But more importantly, revolutionary. For you and for a space program that produces many of the conveniences we enjoy today. We're shaping your life in ways you never dreamed. What's next? Watch us and see.
Welcome back. We're here with Terry Abel, a Bagley College of Engineering alumnus and a 2016 Distinguished Fellow who's had a long and storied career at Lockheed Martin. Terry, I'd like to turn the conversation now to your educational outreach. You and I have spoken about that before, and it's something you're really passionate about. So why don't you tell us about that?
Well, thank you, John. Yes, I am. I'm very proud of the work I've gotten to do in STEM outreach. About 12 years ago, I had been a volunteer with the National Space Club, that is a nonprofit organization in North Alabama that recognizes engineering expertise. But they wanted to try and use some of the revenue from some of that work to reach young people, students. And so I was asked to put together a team and chair an organization that does STEM outreach. And so we started with $10,000 or $15,000 and reached over $100,000 this past year in funds that are spent in STEM outreach from the middle school level, high school, college, university, everything from helping rover teams that are putting together hardware to compete in an event, rocket competitions, FIRST robotics competitions, Title I students that come to the local museum there at the Space and Rocket Center. Just a host of activities that are available to young people these days, but as always, they're lacking in revenue. So we're able to reach out and partner with those organizations, help them plan activities, and then attend those events and allow the students to be able to interact with engineers from industry to be able to learn a little bit more about what we do, how we do it, maybe come out and visit us at the Marshall Space Flight Center and see some of the cool hardware that's coming together as we prepare to go to the moon and Mars.
So if you, what kind of advice would you have for aspiring engineers, regardless of level, high school students, freshmen, sophomore engineers? What kind of advice would you give them to as they embark on their careers?
I talk to a good many students, and to me, the thing I would encourage them to do is just find something that interests you. You know, use your God-given talent and apply it, and find a team to get on. Some kind of team that is building something, testing something. That's why I'm such a fan of FIRST Robotics and some of the other organizations, rocketry teams, because one, it allows you to get together with like-minded people and collaborate, because in the workplace, nothing really gets accomplished without a real team. And it's a diverse team. We talk a lot about engineering because we do represent the engineering college, but it is people from multiple disciplines, from the business arena, from finance, from engineering, from science, from math, and those disciplines coming together to put together a piece of hardware. And of course, nothing ever works like you planned it did. There's always obstacles to overcome. And to me, the simplest of things is not taking no for an answer. And by that I mean in a good way, not rebellious, but find a way to work around the problem, get advice, seek help from other people, and just make a difference in your culture. It's a neat, and the timing is really good. I mean, I represent the baby boomer generation, the kids born in the 50s and 60s. I'm at the tail end of that. I'm seeing a big wave of that group of people start to retire, so the timing couldn't be better for the new crop of engineers that are coming out and the opportunities. I mean, we can't seem to hire enough engineers in the Rocket City, in the Huntsville area, and I suspect it's the same across the U.S.
Mm-hmm. What can you say about your time in the Bagley College as we wrap up here in you know, maybe the final minute? What did engineering at MSU give you to help you succeed?
Good question. It really changed my life. I mean, I came here as a teenager, right out of community college. I was given opportunities to learn a diverse number of classes and just a broad spectrum of things, forced to collaborate and work with others. But it gave me just a vision of what you could be. I think the classes, the rigor is good, the thoroughness is broad, and then I was able to just get a vision for how you could apply yourself. I just think it's a great university. It was very good for me, and certainly prepared me for what's been a career that I've just really enjoyed, being around fighter aircraft, rockets, smoke and fire. I've been very blessed.
It's a wonderful story, and I thank you for sharing it and for being with us here today. Thank you so much.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. That's our show. Remember that you can follow us at MSU Engineering on social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you for watching.